It's June 22nd.
Live from Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports, it's The Dugout with Doug Boyle. And before we get into this whole talking about baseball sort of thing, I want to talk about a minor victory that we achieved here at The Dugout with Doug Boyle, or at least one of our hosts. Because I want to talk to you about some company that went and did wrong by us. And that product is Minute Rice. Now, when I hear the term Minute Rice, I think, oh, it's rice that could be done in a minute. However, when I was a kid, you would hear all these jingles on their TV ads about how it would be done in 5 minutes. Now, I'm used to prevarications in my processed foodstuffs. I understand that. And I could be used to a company that is off the mark by 400%. That's fine. But 5 minutes. Really, Minute Rice? Do you know whose chronological turf you're stepping on? Because let me tell you something about the 5-Minute Professor. His awesomeness on the mic is only matched by his hostility. He is a survivor unclouded by conscience, remorse, or delusions of morality. You're going to try to cross the Professor, Minute Rice? I can't lie to you about your chances, but you have my sympathies. Which is why we achieved victory today, because I went over to the Publix, got myself some Minute Rice, and this Minute Rice can now be done in 1 minute. I'm glad we have an understanding. Stay in your lane, Minute Rice. We'll be just fine.
I remember the first time that I took a trip to California, went to San Francisco, and I was really disappointed that you couldn't get rice-a-roni there. It's supposed to be the San Francisco treat. Can you believe it that people lie to you in ads? Can you believe it?
In fact, you bring up rice-a-roni in San Francisco, anywhere in the Bay Area, you will get punched in the face.
I have a theory that if you go to any bar in Australia and say beer, the chances of you getting a Foster's is incredibly small.
Mm-hmm.
I have a pen pal in Australia. I'm going to check that one out. I'll report back to you.
How old are you? You have a pen pal?
Well, I mean, it's the easiest way to explain. I belong to a group that talks about cooking using air fryers, and so I belong to an Australian air fryer cooking group. It's not really a pen pal, but I know people there.
An Australian air fryer group.
Yeah.
Tracy, are you listening to this?
In fact, I'm pretty sure it's the Australian air fryer group.
The most Googled thing on the internet is, ahead of porn, ahead of everything else, is what am I going to have for dinner tonight? I got an air fryer, I like good ideas, and it's really helping me understand the metric system.
Okay, so the air fryer group from Australia, Tracy's signing up right now. That's what she's doing.
Yeah, it's called Air Fryers United. That's what it's called.
Air Fryers United, dear. Sign up now.
But the air fryers are awesome.
You no longer have to throw your shrimp on the Barbie. You can
put it in the air fryer.
Actually, she made some really good shrimp in the air fryer last week.
The best thing about the air fryers, the X-rated group, is that in the air fryers group, you write air fryer a lot, right?
Yes.
So people don't like to write air fryer, so they abbreviate it AF. So it's always like, I made chicken AF, you know what I mean? And you look at it and go, yeah. Everywhere. It's like you read it wrong.
Well, I hope you guys like your highfalutin air fryers, but when one of them goes out of control and fries the atmosphere like they were expecting from the nuclear bomb, then just know that the collapse of all life on the planet is on your heads, guys.
It's on my heads. Well,
Australians' heads, mainly.
Well,
I think we know where to point the finger.
Australia.
This is Australia.
Yeah, it's way down over there. Do you know, like,
this is the strangest just a bit outside we have ever done.
No, this is just
something that was baseball related.
This is just our opening. We when two three people get together, it's common just to talk about life, and unfortunately, fortunately, we talked about rice and all the people that were. I mean, I looked at the demographics and the people that listen to our show, they eat some rice.
Well, yes, they eat all things with no consistency because they are all in senior living facilities. We're really very popular.
Hi, Grammy.
we're popular amongst the pudding set.
Yeah. Hi, Grammy. You're gonna be
Chewing
fine.
is highly overrated. We can't get granola on board. It can't be done.
Well, the good news is at least when we get canceled by Lenny Melnick, Fantasy Sports will be picked up by CBS. So,
hey, I did have something I wanted to bring up to the two of you and see if you've ever had a similar experience.
Just a bit outside.
all right.
It's totally outside of the realm of what we have planned to talk about, so I think it still counts as just a bit outside. So the Red Sox won last night's game in a walk-off on a 2-run home run by the unlikely Christian Vasquez. I say unlikely, although in June he leads the team in home runs. In June.
Yeah.
Oh, the catcher? Yeah.
Yes. But here's the thing which is so startling to me, and I'm wondering if this has ever happened to you. They interviewed him in the post-game interview, which I had never seen Christian Vasquez interviewed before, and I was startled by his shyness. He didn't look at the camera or the interviewer, how quietly he spoke, and the profundity of his Spanish accent. And I was surprised because to look at him, I thought he was a leprechaun. And I was so surprised by his accent. And I'm wondering if there's anybody, especially in sports or in baseball, where you've seen them play and you see them, but then you hear them interviewed and you're stunned by what they sound like when they talk.
Well, I mean, there's content issues like, Jake Arrieta or Josh Hader. I'm trying to think of. No, I do have the same sort of thing with an accent, but not in baseball. But in like TV and movies, it seems like to save money, they're constantly hiring Australians. So you watch 11 years of The Walking Dead, and then you finally see the guy playing Rick interviewed, and he's got this heavy Australian accent. You're like, wait a second, he's a Charlotte sheriff or something. But they go out of their way to get these guys for some reason. I guess they're cheaper. I really think there's something to that.
Or maybe better. Or maybe better, because you didn't know until you heard them interviewed that they were Australian. So maybe they're just better.
Yeah. I don't know that. I'm trying to think of I think of Sammy Sosa. I always remember him doing baseball. It was very, very good to me, and that'll live in my heart as a wonderful moment. But you kind of expected that from...
That didn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Right. Like David Ortiz's accent never surprised me.
Well, who's got the weird one? It's football. But have you ever heard Patrick Mahomes speak?
No.
He's got this weird, a little bit higher than you expected, real gravelly voice. I can't do it, but football players will know it.
I wonder, I don't know if I've heard Xander Bogaerts interviewed, but seeing as how he's from
He's from Willemstad. I think he's from Curacao.
Yeah. He's going to have what I would consider to be a non-standard island accent. He's going to have that Dutch island accent, which is not standard.
Yeah.
Not Jamaican.
I had a good
not
friend.
What I think of as Caribbean.
I had a good friend that was from the islands who played baseball a little bit, and it was a good accent. He was a good guy to go out and be like his wingman because he was like James Bond cool with that voice.
Wouldn't it be better than if he was your wingman?
Well, I mean,
James Bond doesn't need a wingman.
If you're going out at age 31 to hopefully meet somebody, there's like an athletic baseball player type with a cool accent is not a
great
bad
wingman.
It's not a bad place to
wingman.
It's not a bad place to take the second tier or whatever that might be. Anyway, we're into this for a little bit. As you know, there's the three of us on here. You heard the 5-Minute Professor, and you can contact him at Facebook. You might notice that Stevie Yo is not here. That's kind of a short notice thing. I guess he got called in by his...
He was drafted. He
got called in by his parole officer to do an emergency test. Most people don't know about Steve, and I think I might be talking out of line a little bit, but he'll forgive me over time. But he served. He was guilty of a number of bank robberies through California, Utah, and Nevada. He served 7 of 11 years. Look, don't stick with the plan, Professor. Stick with the plan. Over $3.7 million has yet to be recovered. We didn't bring Stevie O on because of his baseball knowledge. We brought it on to learn where that money is. Once we find out where that money is, we're going to kill him, we're going to take the money, and we're off to Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland.
Because no one would look there.
No, it's because I don't want to give away our
For
actual.
anyone.
I don't want to give away our actual plan where we're going to be. You know what I mean? So because that would be bad. But Steve will be back next week. He just had to go down to the station or whatever. You can also, if you want to contact Brendan, that's always kind of tricky. I would say
Smoke signals.
keep a song in your heart, and maybe he'll answer.
Starting next month, I'm hoping to have my YouTube channel up finally, so that'll hopefully be.
That'll give you something to promote.
Yeah.
We're on here every Saturday at 10:00. Lucas Baseball, Lucas Beery, and Lou Landers will be on at noon to do the waiver wire stuff. There is a show, Fantasy Hour, Sunday at 11. I should investigate who's hosting that, but I'm sure it's the best thing you can listen to fantasy wise. Sunday at 11 o'clock, and then bring up Dan Gilbert's show, The Fisticuffs, which is on Monday at 11, and this Thursday at 10 o'clock he'll do a second show, and I'll probably be on with him there. With that,
And you are Doug. And
I'm Doug. Yeah, Doug
at Urban Baboon.
And the network. If you're listening to it live, you know where the network is. If you're listening to it on Spotify or Google Play, go to Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports. Sign up for the free account because it lets you into the chat. You can talk with. There's 40 hours of live programming, 23 different shows. You can chat with a bunch of good people. If you're a fantasy, if you're a fantasy guy, 95% of the time, there's no place better to be. The other 5%, they're as good as anybody. Anything else, friends?
I will say, if you are here looking for Yankees interest, we are the least Yankees of all of the shows. None of us care if Aaron Judge went 0 for 4 last night. Zero of us. If he went 9 for 9, we'd be equally concerned.
Yeah, we do have it's one of the rules. Thou shalt not speak well of a Yankee. We do mention them where we need to. You'll get enough Yankee coverage elsewhere, But but we do actually. That's the thing. One thing we do is different from other things. We don't pretend to be news reporters. We wear our biases on our sleeves, so you know where we stand.
I wear them on my chest.
I had mine made into a nice brooch.
I wasn't going to broach that.
No, don't broach the brooch.
Don't broach the brooch.
I'm saying brooch like an Australian because of my air fryer ties. Hey, Brendan.
I know you wanted to get into The Walking Dead.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
I guess with Steve on assignment there, we will be going with me for the Dugout in a spot start. This version of the Dugout is brought to you by Mattress Firm. Have you ever wanted to consider litigation? Ever wanted to be represented by a mattress? Then, man, we are the business for you. Mattress Firm. You say you don't care, Bill, about the Yankee news. Well, this week just proved without the shadow of a doubt that Brian Cashman is a Sith Lord who's able to cloud the minds of other GMs and basically get whatever the hell he wants for nothing. As Edwin Encarnacion, who led the AL in home runs going into this trade, traded to the Yankees for pitcher Juan Then, who had been on the Mariners beforehand. So basically they just got their original guy back.
Who then?
And another guy named Salary Relief. Who the hell's that?
He's a hot-hitting first base prospect. No, I don't get the salary relief thing. I've been seeing this more and more where they're going, it's like if I have somebody under contract, let's say I have the professor under contract for like every month I have to deliver him one box of Rice-A-Roni, right? And I trade him to draft for upside on Wednesday night. It's like, they gotta pay that box of Rice-A-Roni now. It's like salary relief isn't really anything. It's like literally it's like Edwin is gifted to the Yankees. Here you go, and we'll pay half your salary. That's bizarre. I don't know who Juan Then is. He's a fairly low end prospect from. Not low end. Low divisional prospect, young guy, from Venezuela, I believe. But yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. How did they do that? It's like teams are giving them players.
And it's I was going to try to not slam on the Mariners for this, but after watching a YouTube video, it's a series called Legacy of Failure, and one of the episodes was on the Seattle Mariners. It was done by a gentleman named Schlosser. And I was like, oh yeah, it's right. This is the same franchise.